90.7 KPFK, Los Angeles.
The following radio program has been approved for broadcast by the Federal Communications Commission and is in compliance with all community standards.
From Los Angeles,
Cary Harrison.
Russia, if you're listening.
Talk show, random, political, outrageous, philosophical, analytical, passionate, sunsets, roadkill cooking tips, open-minded, swordsman, bent, resolute, chocolate, bushwhacker, belt buckles, investigative, companion, fearless. Call in. Piercing the cloud of mainstream entertainment. It's the Cary Harrison Files.
And it is the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome. Multitasking here to stream. There we go. Glad to have you here aboard. We are today going to be exploring some really cool material because so many of us are wondering, well, how can this be? What is this? How does it work? Why does it work this way? And we're going to take a look at what the what is that I'm talking about. By the way, we're live streaming, video streaming right now on Substack and YouTube. You can simply Google Cary Harrison YouTube or Cary Harrison Substack, and that way we can stay connected when you arrive at your destination. You can also easily find us video streaming at kpfk.net. Just go to kpfk.net. It's a special video streaming link. Also, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at caryharrison.com, caryharrison.com. And there you're going to get a transcript of this entire show, plus access to clips and stuff that we simply can no longer do on the radio. And we've talked about that a million times. Why? And we're going to definitely get into that right now. And that's our newsletter at caryharrison.com. So let's get something straight, right? Before the civics textbooks start hyperventilating. What we're going to talk about is not conspiracy. It's a supply chain. It's not a shadowy cabal. It's a frequent flyer program. And it doesn't just start with a jackboot. It starts with a training seminar, a PowerPoint deck, and a complimentary bottled water. For years, thousands of American law enforcement officers, including the kind with medals, pensions, and a deep emotional attachment to authority, have been quietly hopping on planes to Israel. Since the early 2000s, by the way. And they didn't go there for hummus. They didn't go there for archaeology, for training, for policing, military style, crowd control, surveillance. Who'd ever thought we'd ever talk about Minnesota ever? But here it is, right now, the belly button of all things to come. Population management is what they were being trained for. How to pacify people without calling it pacification. Think of it as a professional exchange program. You bring your badge, we'll show you how to run a neighborhood like a spreadsheet. This was not advertised as repression. It was sold as best practices because nothing travels faster across borders than a technique for controlling human beings while still calling yourself a democracy. And one of those techniques land back home. They don't stay in the locker room. They metastasize. They spread through departments. They spread through task forces, through fusion centers, like an invasive species with a grant budget. Now, here's where the story gets truly American. Because while the cops were getting trained, Silicon Valley was packing its lunch. The hoodie class, those soft-spoken monks of disruption. They weren't asking whether this apparatus should exist. They were asking how fast they could scale it. And they didn't bring ideology. They brought infrastructure. And infrastructure is ideology that doesn't have to argue. There's a woman named Sophia Goodfriend. She nailed it. U.S. companies, and this is in The Intercept, she says U.S. companies sharpened their surveillance tech in Israel and brought it home like a souvenir, except instead of a snow globe, it's your metadata, your movement history, your social graph, your insomnia, your browsing habits, and that weird text you sent at 2:17 a.m. and you forgot about, but the database didn't. We're really kind of exploring digital hygiene today. Whatever you do out there, it's permanent. and it's being reviewed and it's being gobbled up and it's being turned into your dossier. You, the listener, you, yes, yep, you. Mildred, stop. Put that down. Yes, you. And I know you're just exchanging recipes. Maybe somebody doesn't like that white flour. Maybe somebody doesn't like extra raisins. Maybe AI reads extra raisins as little brown things moving around from one spot to another, and they need to be intercepted. By 2015, firms like Babbel and Palantir were already feeding ICE the raw material of modern power: data. Not just data, relational data. Who do you know? Who do you talk to? Who do you stand near? Who shares your last name? Who liked whose post? Who went to the same mosque? Who went to the same protest? Who went to the same clinic or the same birthday party? All of that is now recorded, analyzed, and crunched by AI. These are the decisions being made on who you ever talked to at the line in the grocery store. And what were they doing that you didn't know about, where they're in trouble and a person of interest, and now you are too by extension? They turned human life into a logic puzzle. Then the real heavy equipment rolled in: Amazon, Microsoft, Google, the holy trinity of cheerful monopolies. They didn't bring whips or chains, they brought cloud services, which is just a cute way of saying we'll store the nation's private life on servers that you'll never see, governed by contracts that you'll never be allowed to read. By the way, you're listening to the Cary Harrison Files. You can find us anytime at caryharrison.com. We're also video streaming right now on Substack and YouTube. Just Google Cary Harrison Substack or Cary Harrison YouTube, and there you can keep listening when you hit the car, the train, the airport security line, or whatever minor bureaucratic purgatory you're headed into. You can also find us streaming live at kpfk.net. That's the video stream. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at caryharrison.com. You're going to get this entire show, clips, transcript, stuff we can't do on the radio. No censors, no clock, and no apologies. That's the newsletter. Here's the joke that the future is going to laugh at us for. And we're going to be opening up the lines later, because what you think, what you hear, what you feel, what you see, how this affects you, it matters. The joke for the future, or that the future is going to laugh at us for, is where AI fails technically, it succeeds ideologically. Okay, you're going to have to think about that for a second while I have to sip my instant coffee. Listen, I would have a nice brewed one, but where I am right now in Mexico writing this book, they ain't nothing but instant coffee. And I'm going to say, good. Why not? If I keep saying it, I'll believe it soon. Kind of what we're talking about here. So, where AI fails technically and succeeds ideologically, AI doesn't have to be right. It just has to feel inevitable. Isn't that how you're being presented with AI? It's inevitable. It's not going away. It's true. It's like Walmart. You can just say, well, I'm never going to shop at Walmart, and that'll show them. Walmart's not going to go away because you're not shopping there. It's not going away. It's just going to get bigger. So, how do you cooperate or coexist with Walmart without empowering it, as opposed to just blow it off? Like, oh, like you're the one that's going to make them shut the doors. They don't even know you exist. If you don't shop there, you don't exist. So this is about this inevitable AI. Its job is to make the bureaucracy feel powerful, like a toddler gripping a steering wheel while the bus careens downhill. Now, we're all told that the parts are all in place for AI. And that's the phrase they use right before something irreversible happens. And there's a plan here. Palantir, which you've heard of, if you have a footprint in the stock market, you've seen endless stories about it. Even if you're not in the stock market, it's been in the news here and there. It is the most incredible AI ever existed. Sure, you might use Gemini or ChatGPT. Child's play. That's a Dunkin' Donut compared to a 50-level wedding cake. That's what Palantir is. And it's named after Tolkien's all-seeing stones because nothing screams humility like borrowing prompts from fantasy literature. Palantir's reportedly been building ICE on a new platform called Immigration OS. It's an operating system for people. Now, reports that can generate what immigrants look like, where they live, where they travel, who they associate with. It even monitors their location in real time. Add social media surveillance, add AI pattern recognition, add predictive tools that decide who looks suspicious enough today. And to justify it, they dust off the ugliest nouns in the language: terrorist, anti Semite, because power always launders itself through moral panic. It doesn't matter who really fits the label. What matters is that the label exists. Then comes the quote that should be tattooed on the forehead of the century: "We need to treat this like a business, like Amazon Prime, but with human beings." There it is. I'm going to say it again because it's so beautiful. It's a quote. We need to treat, parenthetically, surveilling humans, knowing real time where they're standing, who they're talking to, who they're next to. We need to treat this like a business, like Amazon Prime, but with human beings. 250 years of enlightenment, thought, reduced to free shipping and live tracking. Now, let's talk about Palantir itself, because this isn't just software, it's a worldview wearing code. Their original flagship platform was called Gotham. I mean, these great names. They just tell you so much just in the name. And that connected everything in a battlefield: soldier sensors, drones, satellites, cameras, all fused into a single interface. So, this is the stuff of Netflix, science fiction movies, real life nowadays. The general's wet dream, right? Total visibility, zero uncertainty, no fog of war. Just a clean dashboard with color coded deaths. Every general in history would have sold their mother for this. And then Palantir did what all powerful technologies do: it leaked. They rolled out AIP, or Artificial Intelligence Platform, a system that lets users tailor large language models. That's what AI is. It's a large language model, also known as an LLM. It lets users tailor these large language models into private and public data. Translation: bring us your secrets. We're going to make them actionable. Suddenly, the customer base explodes. Not just the military, banks, oil companies, insurance firms, rental cars. Citibank, BP, AIG, the one that insures your mobile phone, Hertz. The same tools that map insurgent networks now map customers, now map employees, now map citizens. The wall between battlefield and boardroom doesn't crack, it dissolves. War comes home. War takes off its helmet and starts doing performance reviews. And presiding over all of this is Alex Karp, the philosopher warrior CEO, the Patagonia wearing prophet of system transformation. He talks like he's rewriting scripture, talks about rebuilding institutions, about destiny, about noble warriors of the West. And if you don't think that the recent clobbering of about a third of the federal government isn't part of this plan, it is part of this plan to transform everything into a technocracy. And you don't need workers when it can all be done by AI. And the workers that are needed to do physical labor still, maybe pick some strawberries or something that machines can't brilliantly do yet, they will be willing to work for a nickel an hour just to eat. And this is published on Project 2025. It's right there. And I know so many of you have bothered to look at it. So, what we're doing is examining what's actually set up and what's actually happening, taking it from theory or science fiction to here's what's happening on the ground today. So you could strip away the rhetoric and what Alex Karp is selling as algorithmic supremacy. It's not justice, it's not democracy, it's efficiency, it's effectiveness, it's speed. Palantir is treating democratic hesitation, the arguing, the protesting, the moral caution, treating it like it's a bug in the system. And the fix is more automation. Why is it that the Terminator movies suddenly feel, well, relevant? And why debate when you can deploy? Why deliberate with live humans wearing neckties and dresses when you can optimize? Karp doesn't hide this contempt for restraint. He doesn't flirt with ethics panels or open letters. He says the quiet part out loud. Palantir is here to wage war on inefficiency, on bureaucracy, on enemies, foreign and domestic. And this isn't about tools, it's about inevitability. He's not saying, here's an option. He's saying, this is the future. Get out of the way. We are going to literally build God. And God will continue to delete anything that is inefficient. And if you're a live mammal listening right now, we're pretty inefficient. We get sick, we get colds, we get moods. Inefficient, unlike a mechanical creature. Wall Street loves him for this. Loves him for this. By the way, you're listening to the Cary Harrison Files. You can find us anytime at caryharrison.com. We're also video streaming right now on Substack and YouTube. Just Google Cary Harrison Substack or Cary Harrison YouTube, and you can keep listening when you hit the car, the airport security line, the train, whatever bureaucratic, slow, inefficient purgatory that you're headed into, which might include the grocery store. You can also find us live streaming video at kpfk.net. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at caryharrison.com. There you're going to get a transcript of all of this. You can take your time and read it, plus look at the gorgeous illustration that's in there, plus see the gorgeous handiwork of the great Renee Yawarski, who is the technical director of this video broadcast. Now, back to Palantir. It's one of the most highly valued defense contractors in American history. It's trading at obscene multiples because nothing excites investors like permanent conflict and recurring surveillance revenue. 10 years ago, we used to talk about this. 50 years ago, 80 years ago, 60 years ago, the military industrial complex. Well, that's just a whim now, isn't it? It's here. It is baked in. There is no alternative. Recurring surveillance revenue from permanent conflict. And they're delivering to Wall Street. AI-powered targeting systems, logistics platforms, vehicles like Titan, programs like Maven that turn satellite imagery into instant kill decisions. That's not support, that's imperial plumbing. Here's the truly chilling part. And lean in a little closer to your speaker. There it is, because this matters. Oh, your windows are down in your car. There's a lot of noise and wind blowing, and you can't quite hear. So roll up your windows. Other side too. There you go. Electric windows. That was quick. This system doesn't need public support. This system of AI, used this way, used today, does not need elections. It does not need persuasion. It does not need belief. It just needs back-end access. Wars without consent. Ding. Policing without accountability. Ding. Governance without visibility. Ding. Morality outsourced to code. Human judgment replaced by scoring systems. And life reduced to probabilities. If Orwell warned us about Big Brother, this is worse, because nobody's screaming. There's no banners, there's no parades, no goose-stepping theatrics that we've seen in historical references, just quiet procurement contracts that happen without you knowing about it. The votes barely happen, it's just automated now. Quarterly earnings calls, and a calm voice telling you this is all for your safety. Yeah, you heard that yesterday, didn't you? And the day before, and the day before. Sip of coffee? Actually, it's a very good instant coffee, if there is such a thing. I think I found the good instant coffee. The most dangerous thing about Palantir and Alex Karp isn't that he looks like a villain. He looks reasonable. He quotes scripture. He wears fleece, for God's sake. He sounds like your smartest professor after office hours. But behind the affection is a man laying track for a future where dissent is a glitch, where ambiguity is a flaw, and the human being is just another inefficiency to be engineered out. So, while whatever's left of the legacy media is fixating on loud demagogues throwing tantrums on camera, we know who that is. Keep your eyes on the quiet architecture being poured beneath your feet. Because the future isn't being shouted at you, it's being installed. And Big Brother doesn't shout, Big Brother doesn't threaten, Big Brother codes. All right. Wasn't that lovely? Don't you feel better? I'm so sorry, but I get so many emails, so much stuff. Explain this. What is this? This is what it is. So, just to recap, live real-time tracking of everybody. Yes, it's supposed to be immigrants, but no, it's everybody. The cloud that you put all your data in, backup, me too. I mean, really, where am I going to put like 12 terabytes of stuff unless I start walking around with giant external hard drives in a knapsack? This is the convenience of the cloud for $10 a month. And even though I'm told end-to-end encryption and, click our privacy policy, this is shared now. AI sees everything I've ever done, every image I might have downloaded. You too. Maybe you downloaded videos. Whatever it is no longer not known. And it is going to matter. It is mattering if you're an immigrant. It always starts with the immigrants, just like it did in Germany. And then it moves inward toward the general population, which is where we're seeing it actually happening now. We're going to open up the phones in just a second after we pause, because I want to hear from you. I want to hear if you've ever wondered when security quietly turned into surveillance, when convenience turned into control, and when nobody bothered to ask your permission. This is your segment. Where do you see it showing up? Do you see it showing up at work? At your work? Do you see it showing up at the border? Do you see it showing up in policing? Do you see it showing up in tech? Do you see it showing up in your daily life? Call in, push back, push harder. 818-985-KPFK. Those are your Harrison hotlines. 818-985-5735. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Cary Harrison Files, and this is where you enter the story.
Listen, well, it's still legal.
The Cary Harrison Files. CaryHarrison.com.
This pussy grabs back.
The Cary Harrison Files. CaryHarrison.com.
And it is the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome. Yep. here's a YouTube banner. So people that are watching the live video stream are able to comment. I'm just going to read what I see on the screen. This is from Belinda. Thank you, Belinda. You're awesome. She says, "You're the only one I trust when you talk about the so-called PayPal mafia. Karp and Thiel, that would be Peter Thiel, are worse than Orwell's predictions of transhumanism and AI appliances that spy on you." Yes, those were just the beginning. And think of those as little satellites. That refrigerator of yours that uses AI and is Wi Fi connected. In fact, everything that's Wi Fi connected is just another microphone, just another camera spying on you. Now we know what's happening to the data that's all about you. Big or bigly, decisions are being made. We're going to go to the phones in just a second at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735, your Harrison hotlines. I'm just going to recap if you're joining us right now. This is the Cary Harrison Files. We're live streaming on YouTube and Substack. Simply Google Cary Harrison YouTube or Substack, also LinkedIn, pretty much everywhere. If what I've been talking about feels familiar, if any of it makes your stomach tighten just a notch, then this part is for you. Because what we're talking about isn't abstract. It's not theory. It's not sci fi. It's not someday. It's already installed. This is why you need to know. It's about practicing digital hygiene. So when you take a shower, take a digital shower afterwards. We're talking about a country quietly trading judgment for dashboards, democracy for deployment, and human being data points, then acting shocked when the system starts treating everyone like a potential problem to be managed. You don't need to be a tech expert, right? You don't need to be a lawyer. No offense, Renee. You don't need to be a PhD in geopolitics or a subscription to 5 think tanks. You just need eyes. You just need a pulse. Have you noticed how everything now comes with tracking? How every institution suddenly wants your data for safety. Every time you call any company now, they're recording it for safety. Like, gee, I'm in my living room. This is terrible. I didn't realize how unsafe it was. How the language, it's always clean, right? It's always clinical, it's professional, while the consequences are anything but. At what point does efficiency become control? At what point does security become surveillance? At what point does the system stop working for people and start working on them? It's not a rhetorical question. It's a live one. And like Greg, who's on hold right now, your Harrison hotlines are 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. And let's go to Greg in California. You're on the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, no, I get exactly where you're coming from. It is basically at this point unknown submission. You're willingly giving up all of your information and just clicking a checkbox that says okay, and that's about it. And then they get everything on you, everything you've ever looked at, everything you've ever said, since you clicked that box. And it's a knowing submission because nobody's going to read all of the fine print. Everyone's just going to say, I'm going to talk to Chat GPT now. And every word you ask them, everything, you just get categorized. And then, that's pretty much where you're at.
Yeah, have you heard of the term digital hygiene? I just mentioned it a minute ago. It's kind of common sense and obvious. But at this point, it's not too late to clear some of the stuff off your Facebook. Back, let's say a year ago, when it was safe to rant and say whatever you want, there was something called freedom of speech, and the Constitution still held. But now you're kind of asking for it. And I'm not saying don't do anything, don't think anything, but things are now becoming actionable. And if you've got a bunch of really crazy stuff on there, you just want to kind of scrub it off and just be mindful of what you're putting out there because it's got a permanent shelf life and AI, which has the brain power of 20 million of us in one cloud setting, can decide what it means based on what the programming it is told to do. So if the person that writes the code, who's sitting in his mom's basement, is an incel and thinks that it's all women is the reason that his 400-pound sweaty, hairy, whatever is not like women aren't throwing themselves at him, that it's their fault, that they simply have bad taste. He writes the code, it's embedded in the code. That's how it's going to look at women. And so we never have eyes in as to who's hired. We don't know what their names are. We don't know who they are. Just like those teenagers that were sucking everyone's social security and Medicare data back in the beginning, like 2 months in with Doge, just literally pulling everything and putting it on hard drives. These teenagers running off with it. Who are they? We don't know. We know something about one of them, and it wasn't great. uh, Thank you so much, Greg. I really appreciate your call. Really appreciate it. Your Harrison hotlines are 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. Let's go to Gail from Long Beach. Gail, you're on the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for everything you're doing, Harrison. I have a couple of notes of optimism here. Knowing history is power that we can use. What's been done can be undone. I would offer this for anyone who hasn't seen it for their empowerment. It's free on YouTube, a documentary made by someone from Germany on one of the great heroes that attempted when he joined the NSA to make surveillance obsolete for everybody except legitimate, that is to say, researched and found threats of terrorism to the country, and utterly limited. The program he invented was called Thin Thread. It was thrown out by Michael Hayden when he was appointed to head the NSA and decided to try and make his name by surveilling everybody. Please see this film. It will give you ideas and show us some pathway of how that could be reversed, this horrible surveillance in the United States. It's called A Good American, free film on YouTube. Second thing I recommend is to read the very short autobiography of Edward Snowden called For the Record. He's a born teacher, and he's giving in that autobiography more than his story of his life, but how to fix your phone so that you can take a lot off of it, which shouldn't be on there and is dangerous. There are people also online that show you how to dismantle Google to a great extent. If you've got an American device, Google is all over it, but you can disempower it. And good luck to everybody. Thanks again, Harrison.
Thank you, Gail. I appreciate it. Wouldn't it be fun if this were just filled with chuckles and laughs today? But we have to get sober now and then. And part of what we get to do together is talk about how stuff works and bring this information to the front because people don't know. How many of us on a daily basis look at each other and go, well, where do I get the news? I mean, seriously, where do I get the news anymore? And you just throw your hands up in the air. I mean, you could say The Guardian, which would be a really good answer. Deutsche Welle in Germany, Le Monde, France 24. I mean, you have to go way over the pond and dig stuff out that you've never heard of. Even Al Jazeera does a pretty good job, a very good job. I sound like you know who. A very good job. Bigly, wonderful, the greatest, the best. There are a lot of really competent pieces of journalism out there still in existence because they're taxpayer funded and their constitutions say that they should not be violated by corporation or government. But then you have to believe your constitution is worth defending. We have the same privilege here. It's actually a right in our First Amendment. But if you have leadership that just blows it off and doesn't feel that there's any value in that constitutional structure, then nobody has to follow it. And here we are. So what do you do about it before it's truly too late for many? It is too late for many if they have the wrong skin pallor, if they have the wrong accent, if they have the wrong passport. It is too late for them. But for you, and you're next, what can you do to practice reasonable prophylaxis? And that does mean paying attention to what's on your phone and how that works. There's an organization that we had on before, what, 3 months ago, I think, called the Electronic Frontier Foundation, EFF, probably.org. Electronic Frontier Foundation. Even the ACLU has on their websites entire easy instructions on how to basically make your phone not a transmitter for every thought, appetite, whim, opinion, bad mood you've ever had to feed AI, where it can decide that's who you are. And it doesn't unthink that later. It doesn't redecide. That's your dossier. So you really need, your phone is your big brother. It's your Orwell's eye walking around your pocket. You want to make sure that that thing is minimally participating in ways that you don't want. Cary Harrison with you. This is the Cary Harrison Files live streaming right now on YouTube and Substack. Simply Google Cary Harrison YouTube and Substack. Get our newsletter at caryharrison.com. You're going to get an entire transcript plus the phone calls, my favorite part. And may I offer a giant compliment to the people who listen? Smart. I mean, I have to say, I love it. If I'm around smart people all day, I actually feel better. I have more hope when I'm around knuckle walking, mountebanks and hominids and hispidolites. It does not give me hope because they're the guardians of the things that I believe in, and they ain't guarding it because they don't know it's missing or they don't know that it's being crushed. But you who listen to the show are smart. You're savvy, you care. Most importantly, you care about others whom you've never even met. That's the key to good humanity. And I know there are tens and tens of thousands of us out there. So I am super grateful. I'm going to make an analogy. We're going to go to the phones in a second, probably take another pause. Yeah, we're going to take another pause. I want to talk a little bit about the guy in charge. We don't say his name, but he is an almost direct clone of the German Emperor Kaiser Wilhelm II. Unbelievable. And was it Gail who said, or Greg, I think it was Gail, that if you understand history, then you can more easily predict the future. I believe Chomsky also said that in the Chomsky way. And certainly Howard Zinn used to say pretty much the same thing. It is absolutely true. If you understand how they did it before, whether it's Machiavelli, whether it's Nazism, whether it's Kaiser Wilhelm II, that was responsible. Well, my grandfather ended up fighting in World War I. I have pictures of him in 1917 in the trenches, and I have his personal diary and letters that he wrote to his parents about dragging horses to keep them alive, and they were just horse corpses. This one guy caused it. And we're going to get to that in just a second, plus take your calls, because if you understand the personality, you can work with it, work around it, predict around it, and survive and flourish. This is Cary Harrison, and this is the Cary Harrison Files.
Smells like fish.
Tastes like chocolate.
It's the Cary Harrison Files. CaryHarrison.com.
This pussy grabs back.
The Cary Harrison Files. CaryHarrison.com.
And it is the Cary Harrison Files. Cary Harrison with you. Super glad to be here. Compliment to Will at KPFK. I'm not going to say his last name for safety reasons, but he's the magnificent board op, and your audio today is excellent, Will. And like we are all on, I'm supplicating, as you can't see. If you're seeing the video, you still can't see. But just know my knee is bent. I am on a bended knee to you, my friend, and also to the great Renee Yawarski, incredible lawyer, incredible peacemaker for the world. And she does this because she loves it, just the way I do. We're here because we love doing this. We know it's necessary. All right. We're going to talk just a bit about, and we're going to jump to Sam in Long Beach in just a second. Sam, thank you so much for being patient. Just want to talk about the Emperor of Germany 80 years ago, leadership that we see today, so similar. And if we go back like 100 years, we're going to see the true template for the guy building the giant ballroom that happens to be 6 times bigger than the White House. And we're still in Germany, no surprise. World War II, Germany, World War I, Germany. But it was the last emperor who was almost interchangeable with what we're seeing today. Kaiser Wilhelm II, and he didn't accidentally stumble Europe into catastrophe. He strutted it there, chest out, medals clanking, ego wobbling like a loose wheel on a royal carriage. This was a man who confused volume with authority, costumes with competence, and tantrums with leadership. Europe at the turn of the 20th century was already a tinderbox, filled with nationalism, alliances, arms races, the usual historical explosives. And what it needed to go up was a spark. What it got was Wilhelm, a human sparkler with a mustache and a navy fetish. Wilhelm didn't govern, he performed. He loved uniforms, the way insecure men love mirrors. Every speech was a dress rehearsal for greatness. Every foreign policy decision was theater, big gestures, loud declarations, and absolutely no follow through in the way that matters. Diplomacy to him? Improv. And the rest of Europe was forced to sit in the front row while he forgot his lines. He talked too much, constantly. He talked to journalists, constantly, to ambassadors, constantly, to anybody within earshot. He'd announced Germany's intentions like a drunk at a wedding announcing secrets he'd barely understood himself. This is just before World War I. This is what led up to it. Allies were panicked, rivals were armed up. Wilhelm II, baffled, he took offense because nothing enraged him more than other countries reacting rationally to the things he said out loud. Oh, I think I'll say that again. Wilhelm II, the Emperor of Germany, leading up to World War I, nothing enraged him more than countries reacting rationally to the things he said out loud. Then there was the Navy. Oh, the Navy! Wilhelm wanted ships the way a bored child wants fireworks. Britain had a fleet, so naturally Germany needed a bigger one. Not for defense, not for strategy, but for status. This was geopolitics as a pissing contest. And Wilhelm insisted on drinking more water, and more water, and more water. And the result? Britain stopped seeing Germany as a continental power and started seeing it as a threat. An arms race followed. Trust evaporated. The temperature rose. Wilhelm called it prestige. Everyone else called it trouble. Inside Germany, he did what insecure leaders always do. He fired all the adults. Experienced diplomats? Gone. Cautious advisors? Poof, gone. And replaced. In their place, he elevated generals who flattered him. Men who spoke in timetables and inevitabilities and worst case scenarios. Civilian control thinned. Military logic took over. Once the trains were scheduled, reason was no longer invited to the meeting. And then came 1914. And stand by, Sam from Long Beach. Thank you for being patient. Going to be with you in like 1.5 minutes. Then there was a gunshot in Sarajevo, a regional crisis, the kind Europe had handled before. And this was the moment for restraint. This was the moment for quiet pressure, for delayed decisions, for statesmanship. Wilhelm II, the Emperor of Germany, responded by throwing a blank check at Austria-Hungary like a man tipping wildly at a bar he couldn't afford. I'm spluttering here for a second. I was just thinking the Biden budget was 7 trillion. The Trump budget is 10 trillion. And we were just told the other day they're going to increase it by another 1.5 trillion. So all this stuff about Doge and saving money, and we're in like $36 trillion of debt, and that's what it's all about. Well, shucks. Maybe not. No limits, no exit ramp. Leading up to World War I, it was pure emotion. It was offended honor. It was wounded pride from the emperor. Imperial solidarity cosplay. When things escalated, he panicked. He wavered. He tried too late to slow it down. But the machinery he empowered didn't pause for second thoughts. Mobilization rolled forward. Alliances snapped into place. Europe marched. Wilhelm had what he wanted for a moment, and he got a world war. 4 years later, millions were dead. Empires were gone. Wilhelm fled into exile, still convinced history had misunderstood him, because he was a really stable genius, too. Of course, history had misunderstood him. History is terribly unfair to men who believe dressing like a general counts as governing. Europe didn't fall into catastrophe because fate demanded it. It fell because it handed an unstable system to a man who treated power like a costume rack and diplomacy like a stage cue. And once he pulled the lever, there was no intermission. Let's go to Sam in Long Beach. Patient Sam, you're on the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome.
Oh, Cary, love your angle. It's so refreshing to hear logic mixed with humor. I'm usually a Democracy Now! Guy, but I just recently got turned on to you. Love your work. Just wanted
Thank
to
you, my friend.
super quick, get into the AI in everything. Basically, that seems to be the trajectory. I won't even get into like the predictive technology and the mind reading software, the kind of Philip K. Dick mind crime stuff that's coming down the pike. But basically, my point is about how everything in tech inevitably gets smaller and smaller, and how I feel like we don't need to really worry about robot armies or robot dogs coming after us. Of course, that is a probability, but I feel like as things get smaller and smaller, now we're staring down the barrel at mosquito-sized drones and programmable bacteria and swarms of flying killer nanobots coming for us.
I'm only laughing out loud because you're right. It sounds so deranged, so fantastical that it simply cannot be true, but it is.
Oh, and I generally try to be positive and have hope for the future, and for the human ability to overcome adversity and organize and come together and overthrow the overseers and the military-industrial complex. But as things get smaller, it will become, I believe, like an economic, if capitalism continues to exist, to become an economic necessity for the military overlords to, instead of using all the resources to make a bunch of robots and robot dogs, etc., but to make things smaller and more economical. So that's why I feel like it is inescapable, and it will be impossible for us to organize against the threat of the flying killer nanobots and the programmable bacteria, et cetera, to the point where I'm just worried that with the programmable bacteria, and these are, I'm not throwing out some weird sci-fi idea. These are actually things that you can, Google, you can read about, that are actually being developed as we speak. That we will be infected by these things. We will be we will be hunted down and if not actively attacked, then the threat of that and the very real threat that that type of technology can be deployed at any time will keep us in our place. Don't get me started about choke collars and all of the I say kill collars, that everybody might need to wear. I mean, again, I try not to be this dystopian, fearmonger or whatever, but listening to you, I'm usually a Democracy Now! Kind of guy with Amy Goodman, but I just recently got turned on to your shtick, and you really are are really laying it out in this very articulate way about how I hate to say the D word, how doomed we are. But if we don't organize now and get our ducks in a row and stand up to the fascists in power on both sides of the aisle, then we are in for a world of hurt. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you so much, Sam. Really well said. Not just because you gave me several compliments, which I really enjoyed, but because you laid out the fact that people need to understand with an open mind what's actually real. And once you know that, you can step around it. It's like one of those orange cones in the middle of the street over a pothole. If you don't see it, you drive over the pothole, bend your rim, flat tire. Do you sue the city? I don't know what you do, but it's going to cost you hundreds of dollars. You have to get it towed. Your whole day is gone, maybe 3 days, maybe whatever. Your whole life is upset for a long time because you didn't see the pothole. This is the orange cone. So you can go around the pothole. You can go under it if you want. You can go over it, but you know it's there. This is just pothole illumination, or PI. We'll consider this your PI moment. Let's go to Gabe in Venice. You're on the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome, Gabe.
Turn that off, yeah. Hi, how are you, Jerry? Good morning.
I'm good, my friend.
Jerry, I enjoy your show. Wanted to say that already the Israelis are illegally spying on us in dissent within the United States. They're already doing that. We have no regulation on any of that in the United States. If you want to see what the regulations are, go to the EU. They're trying to get it under control. And I just wanted to say that. And the reason that Trump wants Greenland is for the water. They're going to put these AI generator things up in Greenland. It's going to be heavily surrounded, and we're going to have it uplinked on Starlink on their own private channel to Washington, D.C. So that's what's coming. And you're right, Cary, to point these things out. So I really thank you for trying to alert people. And yes, they are in the United States. We're being spied on constantly. So that's what's going on here.
Thank you, Gabe. Very much appreciate your call. And as I was saying earlier, how smart people are. I mean, I just get turned on. Maybe I'm sapiosexual. I don't know. But I like being around smart people. I feel safer. I feel safer when I'm around people who actually have their eyes open and their brains are functioning. They have critical thinking and they have imagination and they've read stuff and they're into the solution and they want to help me back. Like, I feel safer. And I'd like to think that most of humanity is that way, or we wouldn't have street lamps and traffic lights and city parks and veterinarians. We just wouldn't if we were all super creepy. Most of us are not. The Lord of the Flies thing is true, but it's always one or two that ruins the 1,000 people that are there trading, cutting each other's hairs, making shoes, cooking, whatever they're doing, minding their own business. There's just two people that go, opportunity. And that's what this is. It's a giant grift. It is nothing more than a massive global extraction bank robbery. So if you think of it in those terms, it's way easier than all of this mystical stuff about safety and all this propaganda. Just think of it as, if it ain't nailed down, and even if it is, somebody's got a claw hammer and they're now pulling it up. And whoever's supposed to stop them, which would be, the rest of the government, doesn't seem to be doing that. So what are they getting out of it? They're not saying yes for nothing. What are they getting out of it? That's the other question to look into. Let's see, another thing coming up on YouTube. You can watch us live streaming right now. Simply Google Cary Harrison YouTube or Cary Harrison Substack. This is a comment coming up on YouTube. USA budget has been de facto unlimited since 1913, when the Fed began its perpetual money counterfeiting operations, nowadays multiplied with fake financial derivatives and fake digital dollars. And that comes from Kareem. Yes, it's true. And here we are with this new cryptocurrency that's going to be pegged to the dollar, that is looking to probably be birthed in the Middle East to move this way, since Venezuela unpegged its oil from the dollar, which is something that Henry Kissinger started back during the Nixon administration. So a lot of this is just to recapture, but make even greater profits. Quick personal note before we go to Hal in Santa Ana, California. My new glasses that are blue, if you're seeing the video, you'll see I love them. I got them in Spain. Oh, I want to tell you the story about my lost passport, getting it back, and what I had to go through. When I came back in, I was suddenly an immigrant on an emergency passport, and the 50 questions. But we'll do that next week, okay? Let's go to Hal in Santa Ana, because he has been good enough to call in. Hal, you're on the Cary Harrison Show. Welcome.
Happy Friday, Cary. Hey, I think Mother Nature is going to do a big reset on us, man, because we just had a planetary alignment, and 3i Atlas did a perihelion around the sun, and we're having major solar storms, and we could have a Carrington-like event on January 18th when these storms are on the far side of the sun, and that side is going to be facing us on January 18th. So, it's going to wipe out all the electrical systems, all these microcircuits. And I just want to warn people, just get ready, have some food, water, cash, fill up your gas tank. And so they had to evacuate the space station. So that tells you how bad the storm could be. All right. Thank you.
And have a nice day. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. I don't know much about that. I get it. I get the physics of it, but I actually have not been following it. That would be 2 days from now, and I'm just cringing at the thought of that. So that's Sunday. Yeah, okay. So get some extra Pop-Tarts. This other stuff, at least, I feel I can manage somewhat. The cones in the middle of the street. Let me just thank everyone so much for joining us today. We're at the end, at the finish line here. There's a bunch more calls. There's this, there's that. Please know, if I had more time, I absolutely would. But let me just thank and acknowledge the great Renee Yawarski. She is our technical director. She's also an extraordinary attorney who clerked for the Supreme Court and has done really amazing good work on behalf of humanity for many, many years. She does this because she wants to. Just the way I do this show, because I want to. And we're here volunteering now with the defunding of everything, with the collapse of everything. If we don't do it, it doesn't get done. And so I am lucky to be surrounded by some really high functioning, amazing people who have my back. I have theirs, just like you listening right now. You have my back and I have yours. So I'm totally looking forward to seeing you next week. Don't forget to get our newsletter at caryharrison.com, CARY, harrison.com. There you're going to get the whole video copy of this, transcripts and other stuff. And I'm just thrilled to be able to spend time with you. Now it's time to say goodbye. You're going to be fine. Just remember, the orange cone is for you.
Listen, well, it's still legal.
The Cary Harrison Files. CaryHarrison.com.